Okay, I call the meeting of the Mexico City Council to order for July 24th. Roll call, please.
Williams?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
All right, before we do our presentation this evening, Chief Maisco, would you introduce our new...
Sure, yeah. This is Stuart Thompson. He's the new Assistant Chief of Mexico Public Safety. That went into effect last Monday. Since he's been very busy, very hammered, so he hasn't even had a chance to get his feet on the ground yet.
We're very glad to have you here. And Chad, I see you have someone with you, too.
We have our Parks and Rec intern that we share with the YMCA here. Nick's been with us all summer, doing a great job. He's coming to see on city council.
Great. Okay. Well, welcome to our people who are employed in the city, and we thank you for your okay. Okay, our presentation tonight, is about the Teal Lake Village. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. Council, if you remember, last council meeting, we approved an easement for Siding Stricker that gave us an easement to run a sewer. And this sewer runs west of Clark over to Teal Lake Village, which will ultimately be a future, hopefully, of Teal Lake Village 2. And Pete is here to give you kind of a background and update of what they're thinking as they're going to hopefully move this project forward at some point. So we would give him a few minutes tonight to inform you of what's going on or what the plans are out there. Pete?
My routine, I always got to hand something out, so bear with me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We obviously, can you hear me okay? We obviously didn't get funded last year, but we don't give up easily. We were actually encouraged by MHTC to resubmit this application. They thought it was a great application. They just didn't get to it. Their words, not mine. But in the meantime, people I work for, they know I'm a little crazy, so after negotiating with Eddie for several years now, and paying for several crops out there, and our option from last year was about to expire. So I stuck my neck out and convinced my people that we were going to get funded this year and we ought to go ahead and buy the site. So we own the dirt. So we are absolutely engaged. And the second thing that I did is I reached back out and started the process on bringing the sewer, because that's huge. It's huge for us. It's huge for, obviously, Phase 2. And I think we finally convinced Mr. Seidenstricker that it was huge for him as well. Because we're running it from the highway all the way over to our site. And I apologize, I do this all the time. It's the second to the last page, if you don't mind going there. It just shows you that sewer, exactly where we're hooking into it over on Clark Street and bringing it over to Phase 2. There's a couple reasons for that. One is the developer of an MHDC project cannot fund off-site costs. So we have been working with Drew and Rita, and basically we are ready at some point, once we get the plans approved. You approved the easement, so we got that part of it done. Our civil engineer is working on the plans, so we're almost there on that. I push him weekly, almost daily. He's tired of hearing from me. But the goal is to go ahead and put the sewer in. So we will be putting the sewer in before we get approval even on the project. So I guess from that, I'm wanting you to believe that I believe we're going to get this project funded. The project is exactly as I've described to you in the past. We didn't change the site, we didn't change the unit mix, we didn't change any of that. We'll go right back in with the same site. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing for MHDC. They've looked at it before, they've blessed it before, they encouraged us to resubmit it. So we think that's all positive. Having the sewer there at the site means that all the utilities at the site, that's real big for MHDC. We're still doing the workforce housing concept, the same 40 units, the same mix. I'm doing this from memory. It's 28 two-bedrooms, 12 three-bedrooms, basically the same rents. You won't be surprised when I tell you that the cost went up. Construction costs are just unbelievable right now. There is a local subcontractor that's going to do the sewer work. We had a great relationship following phase one with him. He's been on board from day one. Much to his credit, he brought in a great price to extend the sewer for us. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, my update. I guess I'll confess my sins a little bit more before I stop. I called Rita, and I'm smiling because she's probably going to throw something at me. And I said, Rita, you know all those great letters that you and Bruce signed last year? She said, yeah. I said, I can't use them. She said, why? And I tried to explain it's an MHDC thing. So we'll take the exact same letters, if you will please, and just put the new date on it. Just use 23, and they'll be happy, and we'll be happy, and they'll go right back into the application package as they did last year.
Where are you seeking, so I guess, just for my ignorance, where are you seeking funding? I guess, how are you funding this project, I guess?
Okay, I'm sorry.
I guess,
No, I'm happy to do that. We fund through MHDC the tax credit program. It's a federal and a state tax credit. And basically, tax credits relate to affordability because we're not borrowing money, we don't have debt, we're not paying 7, 8, God knows what it would be this time next year when we get started. So we sell those credits, and banks, life insurance companies, big corporations, Berkshire Hathaway has bought millions and millions of our tax credits. They offset one for one their federal tax. State investors do the same thing. They take the state credit and offset their income tax with that credit. So 90% of the funding will be through private equity, secured through the sale of the state and federal tax credit. I'm sorry.
now are all phase one rented out already? Are they all,
Oh, yeah.
everybody there? Okay.
They've been rented out from the day that we opened, and they're full. We've got a waiting list, and yes, the need is here. There's no doubt about that.
So-
MHDC doesn't even doubt that.
So what was the reasoning for not funding, I guess, last year? What was the reasoning they gave you all?
MHDC puts us through this every year. It sounds unusual, but for me, because I've been doing it so long, it's not. If you submit a good application and you don't get funded, then they have a conference following that, and they either encourage you or tell you to forget it or encourage you to resubmit. We have resubmitted 3 and 4 times to get specific projects funded. We just hang in there, stay with it, pay the price, buy the ground, do anything and everything we have to do. I guess that's why we're successful. But they have encouraged it. And so we bought the ground based upon that. We're going to extend the sewer based upon that.
I'm an idiot when it comes to initials and acronyms. What is MHCC?
Sorry. Missouri Housing Development Commission.
Bring it DC. Okay. DC.
Once upon a time, I was actually the executive director, and the significance of even saying that to you is this was my program, the tax credit program. That's the way I would believe that.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, thank you, Pete. Appreciate your
Thank you all
coming
very much.
to visit with us.
You already know this, but you got a great staff. I appreciate every one of them. Bruce hung in there, Rita's hung in there, Bruce hung in there. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
They're going to want raises now.
All approved.
August 14th.
I move for the approval of July 10th, 2023 minutes.
Second. Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller. Hay.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
River.
Yes.
All All right, tonight we have, under item number, or section number 5, we have 2 ordinances, both requiring 2 readings by title only in passage, and the first one is Bill number 2023-50, having to do with traffic and vehicles code. Mr. Scheigel.
Yes, Sean. We did receive a request from the Missouri Military Academy to evaluate a no parking restriction along what would be the south side of Pollock Road, adjacent to their property. And to cover the details of the request and what the engineering looked at, Drew Wilford.
Good evening, Council. As Bruce mentioned, this is a request from Missouri Military Academy along Pollock Road. You may remember a few meetings ago that we executed a no parking zone along Grant, and that's just southwest of this area. They requested both at the same time. This particular one took a little longer in working through it because we ended up having some comments back from the residents as part of our neighborhood survey. So when we received some comments to the negative for this particular request, we asked MMA staff to look into this further and see if there might be an arrangement to work out. The concern was because of limited parking, that north side in this stretch is already no parking. With the south side also becoming no parking, they wouldn't have any overflow for if they had a Christmas function, holiday function of some sort. So MMA has executed an agreement with them. We have it on file that they can now use MMA's parking lot. Now that addresses the concerns, and they also went through and obtained signatures for all of the residents in that area. So at this point, with the premise of moving forward, you would have no parking on both sides of Pollock Road in this area. And this is something engineering would recommend as the idea of parking vehicles along Pollock Road. It is a rather concerning matter. Pollock Road is rather narrow. It's about 20 feet wide at best. And through there it's a straightaway, so you can certainly gain some speed if the person was trying to. So we would recommend proceeding. This would add, and I'll read the section here, this would amend Schedule 13, our no parking at any time traffic schedule, and it would add section SSSS. Parking shall be prohibited on the south side of Pollock Road from Grand Street to a point 1,750 feet east, measured from the intersection of the east edge of Grand Street and the south edge of Pollock Road. So we recommend council proceed with reading, actually 2 readings, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
So MMA feels that they can park everybody off those roads in the events that they have there.
They do. They've added a substantial parking area. It's not shown on your aerial map here, but it's down by their obstacle course. They've also added parking in other areas in the vicinity, so they do feel capable of supporting those events.
I'm living over there, I can tell you, it's a good idea. The only thing I hope is I hope we enforce it, because sometimes that's a iffy situation. We don't want to make anybody mad at MMA, but at the same time, we don't do this, but just do it. So, but it's a great thing, because I've been down there, and when somebody just parks in for the houses, not even for the events, just somebody will park in the house, there's like hardly any room on that road for a second car. So.
I move for a reading of bill number 2023-50.
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Abstain.
Weber,
Yes.
An ordinance amending Chapter 38, Article 10, Schedule 13 of the Traffic and Vehicle Schedule of the Mexico City Code. I move for the second reading of bill number 2023-50.
Second.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Abstain.
Weber,
Yes.
Bill number 2023-50, an ordinance amending Chapter 38, Article 10, Schedule 13 of the Traffic and Vehicle Schedule of the Mexico City Code. I move for passage of bill number 2023-50.
Second.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Abstain.
Weber,
Yes.
Okay, next bill is 2023-51, and we finally got it here to vote on. It's our animal ordinance, and Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, Your Honor. Council had requested that we make some adjustments to the animal ordinance to allow chickens, urban chickens, and to cover the details, once again, Rita Jackson.
Good evening, council. This ordinance, if approved by council, will amend Chapter 4, Article 3, Section 4, entitled Definitions, and Section 4-25, entitled Livestock and Fowl of the Mexico City Code. After 2 planning and zoning meetings, 2 city council meetings, council requested that staff and city attorney draft an ordinance. Council suggestions were included in the proposed ordinance that include regulations on coops, permit fees, number of chickens allowed, and coop setback requirements from the property line. A draft ordinance was presented to council at the July 10th city council meeting, and the following items were amended. A one-time permit shall be required for the construction and/or placement of any chicken coop, and a one-time permit fee of $10 will be collected, and no on-site inspections of the coop will be required after that time. And the second item was residential zone properties larger than an acre does not apply to these new rules. They will be exempt. The attached ordinance presented to the council on the July 10th meeting, those revisions have been included and changed. Staff recommends council proceed with 2 readings by title only and passage of the attached ordinance amending Chapter 4, Article 3 of the Mexico City Code. This ordinance has been posted the required length of time.
Go ahead.
I'm going to just make a comment, and I'm planning to vote for this. But as I mentioned at the last meeting, I'm just generally speaking not in favor of passing an ordinance that you can't enforce. I just have that problem. I'm sorry. I just don't think that's... But we've got several we can't enforce, so what the heck? Add one more to it.
Well, I'll say I won't be supporting it for that reason. And also after having a conversation with our local judge, who says she has a stack already this high that she has to work with. Right? We didn't talk about chicken coops, but just the fact she's like, I'm already burdened with so much, and we don't have the means and we don't have the will to enforce it. Just can't do it.
Well, I do want to thank you for your hard work on it. This has really, I know, been an ongoing project, and I know at least one point I lost my patience with it a little bit, but I apologize for that. And but I do thank you for your hard work. So if you guys want to offer a motion, I would appreciate it.
Or may I make a comment?
Sure.
And Mr. Weber, you had made the comment, if we disagree, we'd never tell you. Well, I'm going to maybe tell a couple of things here. And Mr. Williams, you're absolutely right in regard to current enforcement regarding dogs and cats at times are hard to keep up with, you know, with staff levels and everything. We did make a call to the state, and chickens need to be separate from dogs and cats. They can't be in the animal shelter, so we don't have facilities for it. And our current level of staffing and facilities are just not adequate, you know, at this time to deal with this. But I just think you needed to know that as we go forward. So if they're running at large or crawling or whatever else, I'm not sure what we're going to do of anything about it or be able to deal with it. So I just wanted to concur with that comment.
Probably only have to shoot 1 or 2 and probably
Take him to KFC.
I move for first reading of bill number 2023-51.
Second.
Williams,
No.
Miller,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Bill number 2023-51, ordinance amending Article 3, Chapter 4, Animals within the Code of Ordinance of the City of Mexico, Missouri. I move for second reading of bill number 2023-51.
No. No.
Miller,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Bill number 2023-51, an ordinance amending Chapter 3, Article 3, Chapter 4, Animals within the Code of Ordinances of the City of Mexico, Missouri. I move for passage of bill number 2023-51.
Second.
No.
Miller,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're moving on to number 6, and we have one bill here. It requires only reading by title only and passage. It's bill number 2023-52, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the Audrain Historical Society. And Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, council, as you are aware, we do collect tourism tax from the hotel motel within the city. And we distribute those funds to market the community as well as market events. And this attached resolution would actually authorize the execution of an agreement with the Audrain County Historical Society to receive some tourism funding, and this is for their 2023 Walk Back in Time. Their request was for $9,089.06, and that was the amount recommended by the Tourism Commission. So therefore, staff recommends the council concur with the Mexico Tourism Commission's recommendations and proceed with reading by title only and passage of the attached resolution.
I make a motion to approve the funding of the Walk Back in Time event for the amount of $9,089.06.
First
It's a
reading.
resolution.
I have moved for first reading of bill number 2023-52.
Second.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Bill number 2023-52, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the Audrain County Historical Society for recommended funding from the Mexico tourism tax. I move for passage of bill number 2023-52.
Second.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Okay, and other business, we have a staff report on the purchase of a 2023 Chevrolet Silverado 2500. And Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, council, as you may remember, you've seen this before, and we didn't receive any bids, and so we've been able to search to find a suitable alternative on this vehicle, and to cover the details of that, Drew Wilbur.
Council, we're pleasantly surprised with what we have before you. As Bruce mentioned, we put this out for bid, I believe, in October of last year, when we opened bids, and we had none. And since that point in time, we looked at budgeting for this coming year. And during that process, we talked with Don Brown Chevrolet, who has the state cooperative purchase contract, and found they actually had a truck which mostly met our specifications. The only two which were not met were the bed length that was 8 foot instead of spec 6 foot, and then also the interior material, I would say. The interior material, we did cloth, and it was a vinyl interior. Both of those things we can easily overcome, and both of those things may actually turn out to be good. Anytime you're doing quite a bit of work, it's always good to have a seat cover, and the other aspect, an 8-foot bed, when you're carrying around equipment, can be quite handy. So this truck would be used in the wastewater division and be used to haul around our camera trailer. This truck is a little different than the others in our fleet from the standpoint of it has 4 seats in it, so it can also be used to haul our employees around whenever we've got a sewer call that requires more mobilization. It can also be used for taking to training, and the other important item is it can be used to put our push camera in the back seat, and that's very handy to keep it secured, number one, at a time when those issues are more prevalent, but also out of the weather. And the other item that I'll mention is that when we were evaluating costs, we came back with a quote for this one from Don Brown Chevrolet of $43,190. And upon looking at the budget for this coming year, to purchase a 24, that's why this price is marked down, this is a 23 model, it would be nearly $9,000 more. So we would ask for concurrence to proceed in purchasing this 2023 Chevy Silverado 2500 double cab. It's 4-wheel drive from Don Brown Chevrolet out of St. Louis for our wastewater department at a cost of $43,190.
If they have another one, we ought to buy another one. You're not gonna beat that price.
It's only gonna go up.
I mean, for that right there, so. I move for the purchase of the 2023 Chevy Silverado 2500 HD for the wastewater from Don Brown Chevrolet for the cost of $43,190.
Second. Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Flutter.
Yes.
Okay, next thing is paying the bills, claims.
Make a motion to pay the bills?
Second.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Flutter.
Yes.
All right, we're moving on to Section 8. We have comments, and first from the council, and Steve, we'll start with you.
I'll first concur with the mayor, Rita, and the crew that helped with, all that adjustment and all the back and forth. I appreciate the work they did on that. And so, as we move forward, hopefully, it's something that the citizens can enjoy and take part on if they choose to. The other part of that is that I know we have a budget session coming up, and here's the thing, if we can't enforce, and there's a problem within the numbers we have and things like that, then there's something we really need to look at within the budget. Do we need another person? Do we need stuff like that? I mean, are these some serious, if there's a stack of papers and something needs to be done, then there might be something that we need to look at seriously within the budget of adding somebody else or something like that so we can enforce not only this code, but other codes as we go down the road. So, I know many hands make light work, and I know we're within a budget, but there might be some hard conversations that we have about adding some people that help us take care of that. So I don't know if it's from public safety standpoint, I don't know if it's from animal control, but I just think that that's something we need to think about as we move towards, August 14th and the budget sessions that we have there. Now that we're done with the chickens, I think we need to move towards dogs in the dog park and kind of look at that, Chad, and just kind of, I know we've talked about some ideas, but I think that's something now that we need to, really kind of put our finger on and thumb on trying to lay down a map of where we might put one of those and so make the dog people happy and go from there. And I know you have some ideas, and I'm just saying, probably time to start cranking up that a little bit faster and see where, some good layouts we would have to do that. And
We have money in every budget as well.
yeah, and I know, and so I know that they made a mention about that, but I just want the dog people to know that we haven't forgot, and so we want to move towards that and just stay cool. It's going to be hot this week, so
It is. It's going to be dangerously hot.
hydrate and if our workers out there, let's make sure that they have water if our street workers are out there working on the street and stuff. So make sure that they are hydrated and take care. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
I'll concur with the budget comment made, because we do have a lot of stuff that doesn't get enforced. I don't know how much of that is we don't want to make people mad, and how much of that is we just don't have the resources. Because sometimes I watch stuff and I'm like, I see things wrong, and I see people just drive by and let it go. So I agree with that. The dog park, I actually had a talk today. We were talking about putting the committee back together that we had, because we really feel like this is something, we have a lot of people that really want this, and I know you want to do a survey, but I really believe also, talking to the people, and some of the people I've talked to, I don't think the city's going to have to put a lot of money into this. It's going to be given a green light and saying, go for it and do it. We have donations lined up last time when we had this committee. So I agree that's something that we need to push forward. Congratulations again, sir, for your promotion, and you again, Bryce, for your promotion. And I do know that you guys have been super duper busy. I've seen y'all flying up and down the road out there. So not just with police work, but I've seen the fire side too. It's been a lot of calls. So appreciate all you guys do out there. And that's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Larry?
I've got two or three little things, I hope. Steve, I concur with what you're saying about the enforcement. I don't know whether it's a budget issue or not. I'm not smart enough to understand this stuff. If I ever will be, I'm not now. But I would just say I hope that ordinances like this that might come to us, that somebody could explain in the process how we plan to enforce these ordinances. I think it's just very difficult, if not impossible, to do. And I'd just like to know how we plan to enforce ordinances. Stop signs are one thing, that's easier, but these kind of things I think are very difficult. And I don't know that more people see the answer or not, I have no idea. That's one. Number two is me being my typical jerk self again. Do we have an ordinance related to, for lack of a better term, porta potties, permanent porta potties in Mexico? And I'm referring to two that are sitting on South Jefferson Street, one half block south of the square. And they've been there since I was 3. Not quite that long, but they've been there.
It's a long time.
That was a women's clothing store when I was 3, by the way.
It might have been, they were just outdoor. Didn't you have to go outdoor to go to the bathroom when you were
But yeah, we
green?
didn't have running water.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But we do have running water now, so I'm kind of curious as to why we still have we seem to have permanent porta potties. And I think that's probably not the image we want to project. And again, I'm going back to what's our front door look like that I've mentioned 2 or 3 times. And I appreciate the fact that Rita and Amy and I think Dana are working on that. But I think that's, I just don't think that's what we want to be is a city with porta potties. I'm sorry. And the third thing I've got is better. I'm not sure the Tehran Loop $10 million thing, 5 years, as wonderful as we've all talked about past city council meetings since it's been announced. I don't know exactly who's going to administer that. I don't know that much about it. And I do know it's going to help Mexico a great deal, and I think that's the idea. But I think another point that needs to be made to that is that we somehow need, and I don't know, it's us, the Chamber of Commerce, I don't have any idea, we somehow need to impress on kids that they can do this kind of thing. They can start out, I'm not an emotional person, what's going on here? They can start out with not a whole bunch and become something and give back to their community. And I think somehow we need to impress that up on kids. And I don't care where the kids live, it doesn't matter. I think that's important. And I hope that, even though it hadn't been said, or at least I haven't heard it, I hope that Tehran knows that's going to be part of this. I hope that's part of his thinking. So.
You like Born a Poor Boy?
Say what?
You mean like the song Born a Poor Boy and Died a Millionaire?
I've never heard that.
Oh, yeah.
No. I haven't got past the poor boy part.
Chris Miller. Are you done? I'm sorry, Larry, are you finished?
Okay, yes.
Well, everybody said almost everything, but I'd like to compliment Drew and his crew on the chip and seal deal. We have some nice looking streets around here. We sure did have some nice dust when the street sweeper was going through picking up the extra rocks, but they look
salt.
Huh?
The rain didn't salt.
Okay. The interesting thing was I had a guy stop me and say, "Why are we graveling the streets downtown?" And I said, "Well, give us another day, maybe they'll go away." So it does look real good. Again, we approved some money for Walk Back in Time. Everybody needs to try to keep that in mind. That's a big event for Mexico. I think the soybean parade's coming up pretty soon too. There's a lot of fall events that we all need to be prepared to be part of. That's all I have.
Okay. All right, well, just a couple things kind of on what you all have talked about. And Chris, I do appreciate your comments and your views as far as and Larry too, about that. Personally, I think I've been pretty ambivalent about it as far as the animal ordinance. And I have some of those same concerns. But what I'm hoping is that the people who want to do this, raise the chickens, they have the guidelines now to do it. And I am going to hope that they will stick to those guidelines. And as long as they are doing what they should be doing, we should have no problems. It's now when people don't follow the guidelines, then we're going to have a problem again, and then we may all see this come back. But it's time to get this issue off the table and move on with it. the Walk Back in Time. I was reading that material that was sent to us. Over 15,000 people expected to visit Mexico because of the Walk Back in Time. I noticed there's like 2 pages of new things, some which look very exciting to me, so I'm be looking forward to that. I'm just hoping we don't have this heat dome will sort of break up and move on, and we'll have the cooler, nice, maybe early fall weather for that. So with that, we now turn to public comments. If you want to make a public comment, you need to come to the mic. You've got 3 minutes. You need to state your name and your address. All right. If we have none, then I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Williams?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.